Olá, estamos aqui com o professor Charles Nelson, da Universidade de Harvard. Tivemos a honra de ter uma aula com ele no curso sobre a primeira infância, e ele está aqui para falar com a gente sobre institucionalização. O professor Charles Nelson é professor de pediatria. Ele leciona na Universidade de Harvard, ele tem um programa em neurociência e desenvolve muitas pesquisas acerca dos danos da institucionalização e é o condutor das pesquisas que foram feitas nas pesquisas de Bucareste. É com muita alegria e muita honra que recebemos o professor Charles Nelson aqui nessa mesa virtual. E começo as perguntas para o professor acerca dos danos. Nós sabemos que a institucionalização causa danos ao desenvolvimento e gostaríamos de saber quais são esses danos a longo e a curto prazo.
So I think that part of my answer is it depends on how old the child is and why they've been institutionalized. So, for example, have they been abandoned or have they been removed from their parental care by the court system, and how old they are when that happens. And then the other factor is how long they have been in an institution. But generally, just setting those qualifiers aside, the potential harms include the following. Children have a higher rate of mental health problems, particularly things like attention deficit disorder and anxiety. They have a reduced ability to interact appropriately with their peers and other people. When they're babies, they have difficulties forming attachments. That is the relationship children have with their caregivers. They, depending on how long they've been in the institution, their IQ, their intelligence quotient, can be reduced. And lastly, they can experience a problem in what we refer to as executive functions. These are these higher cognitive abilities, like the ability to inhibit a response or to regulate your emotion. These things are also compromised in children who spend time in institutions.
Obrigada, professor. E o tempo da institucionalização, o tempo que essa criança passa numa instituição, faz diferença nesse desenvolvimento?
Yes, as a general rule of thumb, the longer a child has spent in an institution, the worse their outcome. And that's particularly the case if they have entered an institution when they were a baby and then spend more than, say, 2 years in the institution. Now, a much older child, say a child who's 10 years old, might experience less harm if they've been in an institution. But the greatest harm would be to infants who've entered the institution and spent more than 2 years there.
O senhor falou que o tempo em que ela fica na instituição faz diferença, mas também a idade dela, em que ela entra na instituição, faz diferença. Então, quanto mais cedo é possível fazermos essa afirmação, quanto mais cedo a criança entra numa instituição, quanto mais jovem ela é, mais nova ela é, pior para o seu desenvolvimento?
Yes, I should have made that clear. So the longer a child spends in the institution, the greater the risk that they'll be harmed by being in an institution. Now, I should add, and this will get I think another question you'll be asking at some point, how good or bad the institution is also contributes to their outcome. So the worst scenario would be a child who spends a long time in a very bad institution. But even in a better institution, length of time is still a big factor in their development.
Se é possível a gente dizer que as instituições adequadas, as instituições consideradas boas, que fazem um trabalho adequado, e as famílias, elas têm equiparação no cuidado com as crianças, ou seja, instituições boas cuidam de forma parecida do que as famílias cuidam?
That's a very good question. And so, you know, in the institutions I visited in, say, Sao Paulo you know, some other parts of Brazil, they're much, much better than the institutions I worked at in Romania. But what still makes them an institution are two things. One, that there are rotating shifts of caregivers. So there are different people taking care of children. And I think the second is that the caregivers, unlike, say, an adoptive family or a foster care family, the caregivers in an institution often don't make the same psychological investment in the children. So even in institutions that have, for example, just a few children being taken care of by one caregiver, so there's a good ratio of children to caregivers, or there's a lot of cognitive stimulation, we know from very old studies that the fact that there are rotating shifts of caregivers and the caregivers may not make the same investment in the children, those are the two biggest factors that influence development. Now, in a very good institution, we might not expect big effects on cognitive development like IQ, but we will still expect big effects on social emotional development. And so even in a very good institution, there is still the risk that a child's social emotional development will be harmed.
Qual o objetivo da comissão da revista Lancet sobre desinstitucionalização?
So I think there are a few. One is to convince governments that institutional care should be an absolute last resort, that the first option really should always be to place a child in a family. I think a second issue is that in cases where institutionalizing a child is the only option, it should be very short term, that the child goes to the institution, but they should not spend very long in that institution. And I think that another will be mostly to convince people in government around the world that institutional care should always be considered a last resort, that many countries, particularly in Eastern Europe and parts of Africa and some parts of Asia, almost reflexively think, we'll build an orphanage to put these children in. And I think the goal of the Lancet Commission was to convince them not to think that way, that they should try to think, avoid an institution if at all possible.
Se há benefícios nas famílias acolhedoras e se sim, quais são os maiores benefícios dessas famílias acolhedoras?
Yeah, very good question. So the first benefit of a foster care family is that it's generally better than an institution because there are, a primary caregiver, say a mother and a father, who are investing in that child. And so even if it's only short term, it does allow the child to build a relationship with other adults. So even if the child then is moved, then adopted or goes to another foster care family, they at least have the experience of having formed an attachment to some adults. I think that another big factor is that, and we didn't really talk about this earlier, sometimes in institutions, there is aggression from children to children or from the adults to the children. So it may not be a safe environment in some institutions. Sexual abuse, sexual predators, all of these things happen in institutions. So even a temporary foster care provides a safe haven for the children compared to what's going on in the institution. And a third may be, sometimes it's more than one child in a family that's placed in care. So even if it's temporary foster care, the child may have the opportunity to be reunited with his or her brother or sister, and that would also be a good thing.
Professor Nelson, eu gostaria de saber como mudar uma cultura de institucionalização, porque no Brasil a maioria dos acolhimentos são institucionais, as famílias acolhedoras não são a realidade, e precisamos fazer uma mudança de cultura. E eu gostaria de saber se o senhor tem alguma luz ou dicas de como podemos fazer isso.
One way to approach an answer to your question that we experienced in Romania is when governments are presented with the scientific findings, it may make them rethink their assumptions. So in the case of Romania, when we started there 20 years ago, people were convinced that the state would do a better job of raising children, that institutions were better than foster care or adoption. But they had no data, they had no scientific findings. And when we presented our findings 2 years later, they started changing the law. So one thing is and I think this is a goal of the Lancet Commission too, is to provide policymakers and judges and attorneys and social workers with the facts that I think would tell them institutional care is not good for children. I think that another, and this is a little bit, I'm not sure what I think of this, but is to get the word out to the people in the country, because I think they can bring pressure on the law and on policymakers if enough people say this is not a good thing to do to children. So that's where giving talks to the public is sometimes helpful, because people may not know this. Our experience in Romania is that people thought, well, kids in institutions, there's something wrong with them. That's why they're there. The state will take care of them. But only when they learned what was actually going on did they become appalled. And they started pressuring the government and saying, this is the wrong thing to do. So I think that's another thing to consider is reaching out to the people in the public, not just the policymakers and the people in positions of power.
I've heard before that foster care can create a strong attachment between the children and the foster family. Is there this risk exists? Is it possible that a foster care be not a good thing for the children?
So my answer may surprise you. It is true that children can develop these strong relationships in foster care. And to me, that's a good thing. And the reason is that it means that the child finally feels safe. They feel someone loves the child. They feel that someone is really going to take the best interest of the child in mind. And your question reminds me of a story I used to hear about Korea. South Korea had a very good foster care system. And the problem was that kids would go to foster care, and then when they got to be adopted, the foster care parents were devastated. They'd cry and they'd be upset. And as sad as that is, that meant they loved those children. So I think we should be thinking of this the other way, that rather than to think that this is a risk, that the child will form an attachment and a relationship with the foster care parents, the reason it's so important is that they've done that once, they've learned how to do it, and then they can maybe do it again if they get adopted, for example. So in fact, in the work that we hope to do in Sao Paulo, we want foster care parents who will form those strong attachments and may have their heart broken when the child leaves them, but that means they've done a good thing for that child.
É possível dizer que família acolhedora é sempre melhor do que acolhimento institucional? Can answer now.
So, although everything we've discussed so far would imply the answer is yes, foster carers are always better, we all know, particularly the lawyers and the judges listening to this, there can be very bad foster care. And an example is, I know my wife is an attorney who for years worked in child protection, and there were, horribly abusive foster care families. So if the choice is between terrible foster care and a good institution, then the child shouldn't go to foster care. But that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to develop really good foster care with good training and careful selection of the foster care parents. And if we do that, then my answer is foster care will always be better than an institution.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Quality definitely matters. Quality of the service.
Right. I mean, a related question is, should you leave a child with their biological family who is abusing them, or should you put them in an institution where it's safer? Well, that's, again, what we call a false dichotomy. You would never want to leave a child in an unsafe, terrible environment, but the goal would be to put them in a good environment. Anything else I can answer?
No, we are very happy with your participation here in the seminar.